The first group, which will be another mode of technocracy, and the hemispherical stack group, are working around themes of governing technologies. How it is that not just we would govern a technology, but indeed how technologies form the basis of governance directly. The first group is called another kind of technocracy. Now, with this obviously another loaded term in quotes, the term technocracy here means less the connotation of bureaucratic legalism, but rather in a way it's opposite, a kind of technical immanency of how governance works directly through mechanical and technical systems, and the implications of this for how we understand decision to take place. But first we might ask, in relationship to that legal form, why is it that the lawyers and the law are deciding in the first place? The scientists and engineers are the ones that tell us that climate change is happening, that it's real, and that they are the ones that understand its complexities. Why must they convince the lawyers and the MBAs what to do about it? Why is it that today the scientists work for the lawyers and not the other way around? Now, this speaks obviously to different questions of centralization and decentralization, and because the term technocracy might work in both directions. In its earliest versions, the notions of technocracy implied a kind of massive centralized top-down institutions, but there's no reason to assume that that's the way it needs to be, or how the structure of one might work out. The investment of aspiration, a lot of actual energy, for example, and a lot of actual energy in blockchains, for example, is one way in which the idea that a machine can replace a law is playing out before us. That a machine that is not only a repository of past decisions that happen under the supervision of the law, but that the machine can be a way in which society makes decisions about itself directly. So what this project will be looking at quite ingeniously is questioning where decision in fact does take place. We have a sense we have a kind of a habit and a kind of logical presumption that decision takes place in the final moment in which the agent makes a kind of either or gateway decision, but in fact, everything has been decided already in advance, as we'll demonstrate. The hemispherical stacks group will be looking at the geopolitics of planetary scale computation, particularly in the ways in which the multipolar geopolitics has subdivided into also multipolar modes of planetary scale computation. We have a US stack, a European stack, a China stack, and indeed a Russian stack, each of which defines the notion of internet sovereignty somewhat different. The geopolitical conflict, as mentioned, between the US and China over 5G, AI chips, and so forth, and really who gets to sense whose data, and who gets to produce models about them, who gets to simulate whom within the larger models that constitute contemporary governance, are exemplary of this. There's competition, indeed, not only over the ability to produce data about the world, but the ability to produce models, which in point in fact becomes not just what governance does, but what governance is, a theme that we will see throughout the day. So this project does look at the question of Russia, particularly the history of Russia, of the Russian stack, and its own contemporary, peculiar, somewhat idiosyncratic claims towards a prospective mode of internet sovereignty. So with that, let me pass it on to the first group, and we will get right to it.